Not working. I think it's flat. Okay. Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker, or Star Wars Episode 9 The Rise of Skywalker. The culmination of not only this trilogy, this Disney sequel trilogy, but also the wrapping up of 9 films. And I gotta say, it's a mixed bag. Now, as with anything, this is going to be the non-spoiler part. And I'm literally going to dwell on this for maybe 30 seconds because I need to get into spoilers because it is impossible to talk about this movie without spoilers. So, this is your 30-second warning, right? So I'm going to say this for non-spoilers, right? The movie overall, I felt was satisfying. Okay? It's not like, holy shit, wow! It's not like, you know, oh my god, that was the worst piece of crap I've ever seen, which you're seeing all over social media and YouTube at the minute. I'm not like that. I'm not coming at it from that angle. I'm just satisfied. I'm satisfied that I got that kind of conclusion. I'm satisfied that it ended up the way it did. And there is a lot in here that, see, I want to say it, but I can't because then you guys will know instantly what I mean and then it will spoil it. But look, all I'll say is this, for non-spoilers, go and see the movie yourself. Go and see the movie yourself, judge for yourself, and just have your own opinion. Because a lot of people are falling into this trap of they're following outrage. Outrage gets clicks, and clicks get views, and views bring in revenue. You know, that kind of rhymed. But anyway, I'll just say that. Go and see it for yourself. Go in with an open mind. Don't go in there with any expectations or preconceived notions. Go in there with an open mind and just be taken on an experience. Okay? Now, I'm about to get into spoilers, right? In the next 5 seconds. So you got 5-second warning. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You still here? Good, because I'll force push you out of the video. Then I'll force pull you back in. I'm kidding. Right. Let's start with the obvious, right? I'm going to start out with my complaints because I want to get the negative shit out of the way first, right? And this isn't a scripted video. This is off the dome. So what that will mean is this will be just from here to there. That's it. There's no filter. It's just here and there, right? There's nothing here stopping it. So, let's get the obvious out of the way. Kylo Ren dies. The one thing I didn't want to happen. I did not want that. I was honest to God hoping that he would be part of the story going forward and could really redeem this whole failure of a trilogy. I really was hoping for it. But no, he's dead. Alright, he's dead. But in terms of the Kylo character, Kylo Ren is without a doubt one of my favourite Star Wars characters. The way his journey from The Force Awakens, dare I say, he has something that Rey doesn't have a whole lot of. And that's actually trial, error, focus. He has focus as well. Trial, error, focus, and growth. Especially in The Last Jedi. Like, regardless of what your thoughts are on that film, he was one of the best things about that film. And for me, Adam Driver knocked it out of the park with this. And, you know, I feel he could have been given more to do. But what he was given, he excelled. Next thing. And it's not really a negative that Kylo died. It's just the first spoiler that came to my head. So this is going to be all over the place. This is going to be a free flow. And I'll be doing a live stream probably tomorrow. Maybe that way where you guys can come and talk to me. And then we can just talk about this a little bit more. Because I want to have a full lengthy conversation. Alright. Next up. Reylo. Your ship has got your wishes. It kind of happens. Now, at first, it makes you think that Finn and Rey are going to be a thing. It makes you think that Poe and Rey might be a thing. And then you meet Zori, and then that kind of cancels that out. She was cool. Then, no, Reylo does happen. So, you rest easy with that. And I will say this, the dynamic between Rey and Kylo in this trilogy is one of the best things it has going for it. The light from the originals and the dark from the prequels. You know, combine them together, you got Rey and Kylo. On that, Rey's lineage. I mean, we called it years ago. right? Some of us fans, we called this years ago. I said her fight style, her form of lightsaber combat is reminiscent of Palpatine. It's aggressive. It's hard hitting strikes. It's reminiscent of Palpatine and Anakin. It's like them two blended in one. And Kylo's is just full on Anakin, like just complete Anakin form. Just, you know, getting right up close and personal. His is a mixture of Anakin and Darth Maul. Right up close, personal, aggressive, fast paced. And Rey is a bit more like that, but more composed. As for her being Empress Palpatine, that was the only way they could have gone to redeem her. Because if you think about it, like, a lot of people are complaining about that. But if you think about it, if you really think about it, what more could they have done? Fuck if I know. I couldn't come up with an answer. So Rey Palpatine is probably the best situation. Now there's another question though. And this is a problem. This movie does ask more questions than it answers. And it asks as many questions as it answers. Right? So you've got Rey who, you know, she's a Palpatine, and her parents are somehow related to Palpatine, but who the fuck are they? Now we need to know about them. So there'll probably be about 3 books that are released simultaneously telling us who they are. And that explains why she's so, you know, crazy powerful. Which is cool. And it was nice to see a shade of her potentially going to the dark side. Like, that for me should have happened. That would have been such a great twist. I would have actually loved that. If you turn Rey bad and Kylo's the one that has to put her down. Just imagine that kind of setup. Like, for me, that would have been a good twist. But can't always get what we want, and that's the way it ended. And the shot of Kylo and Rey turning around to face Palpatine, I want that as a wallpaper, because that looked fucking sick. Like, the way the camera turns, the way they both got the lightsabers. And can we just give a hell yeah for Kylo Ren finally, you know, that lightsaber, it belongs to me. You know, he finally got it. He finally got a hold of the lightsaber, and sounded better in my head, but, you know, good job on that one. Now, on the Emperor. This is where my biggest complaint lies with this film. Where the fuck has he been? He's just been chilling in the unknown regions, like, all this time. And then you see, like, this canister of Snoke bodies, and you're just thinking to yourself, huh, really? Okay, we're doing that. We're doing that. Okay, alright, we're going that route, alright. Alright. Now, I don't blame JJ for this, because if you think about it, Snoke was set up. And I don't want to I don't want to try and hear this bullshit about, no, the fans hype Snoke up. No, Snoke was hyped up as the big guy. He was, you know, he's like, come to me with Kylo Ren, we're going to complete his training. It's like, okay, ooh, this is going to be good. And, well, yeah, you know, this happens. Thanks, Ryan. So they had to retcon that. Oh, and on that, Rian Johnson, I bet you were pissed off during this film, because everything that you did was thrown out the window. Everything. Luke doing that was thrown out the window. What's another one? You killing Admiral Akbar was thrown out the window because that was his son. You hold those little space maneuver was thrown out the window because they added a reason as to why they couldn't do it. Oh dear. But if anything, guys, it actually makes The Last Jedi look a bit better, because if you look at it through this perspective, The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi end in 2 different ways. 2 different ways. And to have a film that tries to work with both, it's very hard. It's very hard. And this isn't more JJ's fault or Ryan's fault than it is Kathleen Kennedy's fault and Bob Iger's fault and everyone involved in Disney at Lucasfilm. Why start a trilogy of sequels to the original saga that you do not have a plan for? Dare I say it, Cobra Kai. Cobra Kai. Right? That series respects the original, brings in new, tells the new story with old characters, fleshes the old characters out, continues with the new. Was that so hard? Do you know what would have helped you, Disney? And people, you can disagree with me down in the comments below if you want, but I'm just thinking this might have worked better. If you had this trilogy with the original trio once more, and the new guys in, and just weave them in slowly, and then pass it on to the new guys. Not fucking kill every single one of them off, and then shoehorn them in the last minute. And on that, how in the fuck... Get the fuck out of here. How in the hell is Han there? I'm sorry, that threw me off. Like, that... Right, let me tell you something. The scene, while it was emotional, and I love a scene between Ben and Han, where's the explanation? How? Like, this film has created so many loopholes now to previous Star Wars lore. Anything's fair game. If Han Solo could return, you may as well brought Padme back. And where the fuck was she? Like, where... Hey, Disney, Lucasfilm. Biggest complaint. Oi. Whose lightsaber is this? This is the Chosen One's lightsaber. Where the fuck was he? He was the Chosen One to defeat Palpatine and bring balance to the Force. Where was he? He appeared in a 2-second cameo. And I want to say in this, going into this movie, I knew the leaks. I was just hoping most of them were bollocks. So when I heard the voices, I was like, okay, you got my boy Mace Windu in there. You know, you got my bro Qui-Gon. You know, you getting him in there. I like it. They even had Luminara, Ayla. I was like, whoa, really? Kanan? Ahsoka? I was like, shit, not bad. But, big but, where were the Force Ghosts this whole movie? We had Luke, like, for the second act. And then we had Leia at the end. Where was Anakin? Where was he? Anakin, Obi-Wan, Yoda, where were they? Did they just disappear? So Yoda summoning Force, like, fucking lightning out the sky, lighting up a tree on Ahch-To. Why couldn't that have been instrumental in the final battle? Have the Force Ghosts come in and pummeling the shit out of Sheev. Lightning with lightning. No, we have Rey going one time in myself. I will say this. They used the Force connection well, where Kylo Ren was able to track her whereabouts. And then she, you know, she passed the lightsaber over, and then he just like, shh. Like, that was sick. I actually liked that. That was really good. And it makes The Last Jedi look a little bit better. General Hux. This guy... I'm sorry. This guy can't catch a break. In The Force Awakens, you kind of took this guy seriously. He was on his business, you know. He meant business. And then all of a sudden, The Last Jedi, he's like a rag doll, gets thrown around every 2 seconds. And then in this one, Rise of Skywalker, he's apparently a mole. A mole. Hux. And then he's killed within 3 seconds. What a waste. That, do you know what that is? That reminds me of, if you've seen Pirates of the Caribbean, right? James Norrington. When he finally turns and becomes a good guy, they kill him. What a waste. What a waste of a redeemed character, right? You guys want to see a properly redeemed character? Agent Kallus from Rebels. That guy was... Now, that defection was on point. However, it was quite clear that Hux wasn't redeemed, or wasn't trying to redeem himself, because he just wanted Kylo Ren out of that position to try and usurp control, which is fair enough. There was no Terminator Phasma. I was hoping we were going to see like a like a battle damaged Phasma with like Terminator eyes and everything. We didn't get that. Yeah, man, this movie, like, you could tell JJ was on the panic button. Like, the minute the spaceships enter the atmosphere and you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Like, you just got all these ships just flying in. You've got the Ghost from Rebels. I'm sure there was a Separatist ship back there. And if you look at the additional voices in the credits, I think I saw Janina give... the woman who played Iden Versio in Battlefront 2's campaign. So I'm sure there was a whole lot of cameos in that sequence. I'm happy we got to see Lando flying the Falcon again. And he was piloting with L3 one more time for you solo shippers out there. And Lando looking cool and smooth in that outfit as normal. And I tell you what, right, in all honesty, regardless of how I wanted this film to turn out, I did get choked up. There were a lot of times I actually got a bit emotional. Now, guys, I know everyone's outraging on YouTube right now and getting all pissy, but understand, I'm a fan. You know, I'm not saying they aren't. They're fully at rights to criticism, and believe me, if I was fresh out the cinema with watching this and I hadn't read the leaks, I would be pissed. But because I read the leaks, not thinking they were real, that's the thing. Because for The Last Jedi, there were leaks. I went in, none of them happened. So I thought, oh, it'd be the same thing again. Every single leak happened. Every single leak. So, Disney, Lucasfilm, again, what were you doing? Allowing those leaks to get out? Who let them out? Seriously, who let the leaks out? Someone let them out, because it spoiled the whole film. It didn't give away the Han Solo little cameo there, which just, you know, how? I still don't get it. Like, how? But I tell you what, Harrison Ford must have been paid an absolute dime to come back. John Williams absolutely nailed the score, as always. We needed more prequel in there, though. We needed Duel of the Fates, Battle of the Heroes, Across the Stars. There's a soundtrack that plays when Zori and Poe are talking on the rooftop. That actually plays when the Lars family are telling Anakin that his mother has been taken by Tusken Raiders. I love that soundtrack, and I'm glad that we heard it again, and I got to hear it in the cinema. Because for me, I first heard that in Attack of the Clones while I watched it in the cinema. So hearing that soundtrack again in the cinema, symmetry, baby, symmetry. Where was I? Palpatine, well, the way he went out, right, and this is... George Lucas did this with Revenge of the Sith with Mace Windu. He tried poetricizing, don't know if that's a word, poetry-sizing, Vader beating Palpatine but getting electrocuted at the same time. Mace Windu beating Palpatine but then getting electrocuted at the same time. Rey getting electrocuted at the same time, kills the bastard. And I'm just thinking to myself, why don't, instead of going here, why don't you stop using Force Lightning? Stop, and you won't die. Like, the way Palpatine went out, I'm sorry, I'm not buying that. Kylo should have been the one to put him down. Kylo should have, not Rey. Kylo. The reason for that is, and some people will throw politics in here. It's not because male or female. It's nothing to do with that. Kylo's bloodline. The whole purpose of that bloodline was to take that bastard out. That was the whole purpose of the Skywalker bloodline. To get rid of him. To bring balance. And balance is the Skywalker way. You know, combining light and dark and just taking both and going forward with it. But no. And one of the leaks originally was that Kylo Ren was thrown into that pit that he was thrown into. Now, I read that leak and I said, if you leave Kylo Ren there and that's it, I am going to be absolutely livid. And then we see him climb out and I'm just thinking, how the fuck did you get out of there? Huh? And then that brings on the question of these Force abilities. We see these whole new Force abilities like Force Heal. Like, we don't actually, you know, it's been rumoured that, you know, well, not rumoured. It's part of Obi-Wan's skill set that he can Force Heal. But not like that. That's Force Heal. Like, you actually see it heal. Like, since when did Rey and Kylo Ren have the abilities of Fawkes the Phoenix from Harry Potter? You know, when Fawkes cries tears onto a wound and it heals it. Since when was that a thing? And then Rey's floating like Yoda. Then, you know, Rey's like doing this other shit. Rey's freezing Kylo. Kylo's freezing Rey. And I'm just thinking, are we turning into like a Marvel movie here? You know, it's like, fuck. I mean, don't get me wrong. If you're going to see this film based on spectacle, you will have a good time. The imagery in this film is so good. And I'm not going to lie. It's so good. But then again, The Last Jedi has great imagery. So take with that what you will. But Rian Johnson, I don't know. This film, do you know what the problem with this is? This movie was trying to do Deathly Hallows Part 1 and Deathly Hallows Part 2. And the 19 years later flash forward from Harry Potter. All in one. That's what it was trying to do. It was basically trying to tell you If you ignored the events of The Last Jedi, you probably won't need to watch it, if you know what I mean. Like, you only need to watch The Last Jedi to understand the Force bond. Everything else, you don't need to know. You can just watch The Force Awakens in this film. The Last Jedi doesn't matter now. It really doesn't. It provides no kind of consequence to now, because now they've just gone back on everything and changed it. Now look, The Last Jedi's 50-50 with me. But I respect Ryan for putting his imprint on it. But the problem is, Kathleen Kennedy, when you give your directors full creative control, each person has a different idea of what Star Wars means to them. For me, it means Return of the Jedi ending, where you've got Luke, Han, Leia, Lando, Chewie, 3PO, R2, Nyan Num, Wedge, and I was so... Do you know what? Seeing Wedge Antilles again, I was so happy to see Dennis Lawson back in the role. I was happy at that. Thank you for coming back, Dennis. I really appreciate that, and I'm sure your nephew Ewan does as well. What was I going to say? Yeah, that's my kind of Star Wars, mixing them two eras. We didn't get enough. Like, seeing Rey look at Luke and Leia together, which was beautiful, and was a good sunset, but in all honesty, guys, that's the weakest sunset of the saga. Luke dying on Crate is a stronger sunset. Dare I say it, it's a stronger sunset because you get closure. You know, Luke is looking off to where his journey started. You feel it. When you look at Rey looking at the sun, the imagery is cool, the sunset is cool, you know, but to me, I didn't feel as much as I should have. And the problem is, and this is a problem with this trilogy format overall, in the prequels you could complain that there isn't enough of Anakin and Obi-Wan, but, you know, 2 hours a movie, you don't always have enough time. The original trilogy, there's a lot of gripes with that as well. And people will say, oh, well, you know, the prequel trilogy didn't focus on Han, Luke, and Leia. No, but guys, you missed the point of the prequel trilogy. The prequel trilogy was about Anakin. It was about Anakin, his fall to the dark side. That was what it was about. George Lucas's words, not mine, so F you if you disagree. Original trilogy was the original story. You do not need to follow everything to the letter. If you don't have to kill off Han Solo just because Harrison Ford wants him gone. You could have killed him at the end of this trilogy, and we could have at least had all the originals together again. Just imagine this. A scene where Lando and Han are flying the Falcon. Maybe Luke's on the gun, Wedge is on the gun, and maybe Leia's on, like, comms or something, or Leia's on the gun. One of the two. You know, you could have all 5 of them, you know, alternating between positions, and it's like, you know, it'd be a great moment to have all of them on screen together again. But we ain't going to get that now. And what I do like is that with Harrison Ford having a moment with Kylo, the moment makes no sense in Star Wars lore. Like, unless someone knows a genuine reason, please put it in the comments below. It makes no sense until they release a book about it. But seeing Han and Ben talk on the Death Star wreckage, the same way that they spoke at Starkiller Base before, you know, was, you know, it was a nice touch. And to see Han Solo one more time was a treat, and I'm happy we got to see it. Now again, there are a lot of gripes I have with this film. I'll tell you what, the first half hour is just exposition. It's just dialogue thrown right at you. Like, it's just dialogue thrown right in your face. And then, you know, after that, it just picks up. But there's so much to take in, right? Because they're trying to do too much. And admittedly, guys, you've got to judge it from this perspective. This trilogy is all over the place. The trilogy is a mess. From story continuity-wise, it's a mess. So, JJ had a hell of a task wrapping up this trilogy and continuing on from The Last Jedi, leaving him with nothing. So he had to restart a new thread. Because everyone goes on about how The Last Jedi is brilliant and how the ending's great. It's not. It ended with nothing. You had no threat from The Last Jedi left. Snoke was killed. Hux was a bitch. So they had to bring in this General Pride guy to give the First Order a bit of oomph. Kylo Ren was made to be a secondary villain again in this movie because of the Emperor. And I guarantee you, that was the plan for Snoke. I guarantee you, Snoke learned about what the Emperor was doing in the unknown regions and followed through with the Emperor's plans. That would have been the original idea. Take a picture, write it down, tweet that. I'm telling you, that would have been the plan. Everything that Palpatine did in this movie, Snoke would have done. But because Snoke was killed, they had no choice but to do Palpatine. Because it's the only character that's bigger, badder, and more powerful than Snoke to do it. So now you've retconned Snoke, and Snoke's just a minion of Palpatine. And again, stealing from the EU. All the stuff that Disney made Legends and non-canon, they're still stealing from. Everything in this movie was from, I'm pretty sure it was Dark Empire. Or was it just me? I'm pretty sure it was Dark Empire. Like the Dark Empire era. I mean, for God's sake. But there was nothing for JJ to go off the back on. So he had to create a threat that felt organic. So everything in this movie was going to be a retcon regardless. And because it was the last in the Skywalker saga, you know, no one knew that until Episode 9 actually was coming out. Like, until the Episode 9 trailers started dropping, no one knew it was the end of the Skywalker saga. Like, everyone just thought it was just them carrying on. But here we are. And, you know, it's hard to wrap up 9 movies. You know, a lot of it was, as Jeremy John said, you know, I member, you member. But I think for the last film in the saga, you can kind of forgive it. The problem with, like, let's say Avengers Endgame, right? I love the movie, but the thing is, there was so much crammed in, the movie could have been like an hour longer. Case in point, here, it could have been an hour longer. With Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1 and 2, the book was the Deathly Hallows book is actually shorter than one of the other Harry Potter books, but because there's so much key stuff that happens, they had to split it into 2 films. They just couldn't do it in one film. It was damn near impossible, and it worked. You had a story that followed the original group, the original core group, on one final journey throughout the film, testing the friendship one more time, and at the start of Part 2, you go on the journey with them again, once more, a short little journey, brief, but you do it, and then you get into the final battle, but you're ready for it because you know this is where it all ends, so you can spend more time with it. But, you know, my biggest complaint with, let's say, Avengers Endgame, is you don't see enough of the final battle. It's there for like 10 minutes and it's gone, because the whole movie's spent on doing other stuff. And that's the problem that this movie suffered from. There was just so much happening. And the amount of fake-out deaths, I mean, Kylo dying, then not. I was happy to see him win, by the way. I'll just say that. I was happy to see the poor guy win. And, you know, he did win. He was absolutely humiliating Rey. You know, I mean, she was trying to slice him, and he's just, you know, dodging. And then outside, you know, he's pummeling the crap out of her. I shouldn't have said that. I know someone's going to make a joke about that. And then he stops when Leia, you know, passes. And then she gets the better hand of him. But then she uses the Force to heal him. Now, what baffles my brain a little bit, wait. I'm confused. Can someone comment down below? Did Leia give her life force to save Ben in that situation? Like, the rest of her life force to them? Like, to save them too? Because then Kylo, it would make no sense for Kylo to die at the end. Strange. The Knights of Ren, they're nothing more than a cameo, the same as the Great Sith Troopers. Both cameos, just there. And given that the Knights of Ren are former students of Luke's, I think, I love how they all just turn on Kylo. Like, that's it, they just turn on him, even though they're supposed to be his knights. What I was hoping for was Kylo was going to go and confront Palpatine with Rey, with the knights, and then Praetorian Guard kind of scene. Palpatine uses his dark aura to corrupt them and spin them to his side. Like, that's my biggest complaint with this film, is you don't see enough of Palpatine's power. I wanted to see this guy twisting everything. I wanted to see him manipulating everyone. But we didn't get it. Words can't describe how happy I am to see Finn and Poe get a bit more screen time together. I love their chemistry in The Force Awakens. Even though it was only for 10 minutes, you bought it. Like, when they were in the TIE Fighter, you bought it. You bought that they were going to be friends. You bought there was some kind of bond there. And then The Last Jedi, oh, nah, that'd be boring. Let's stick Rose and Finn on a mission and leave Poe doing something else. Like, why can't we have a buddy cop mission? And then we got it a little bit when they're running through the base. But back on the fake out deaths thing, then Chewie happened, and I swear to Christ, Do you know, I swear to the holy trees of Dagobah, I almost had my popcorn, right? You know, I am brew, part Scottish, right? I had my popcorn, right, in my hand, and I was just going to go and throw it at the... I was actually going to do it. I was legit annoyed. I wasn't happy. I was fuming. And then when I realised, oh, thank God he's alive. Don't you dare kill Chewie like that. Like, that's the first thing that went in my mind. If Chewie dies, he goes down with the Falcon. I don't want any other way for Chewie. That's it. Falcon only. I'm happy that Lando's still alive. And Wedge. But they're like the only two. Nyan Num. Can't forget Nyan Num. And Chewie. Like, them four characters are the only four left from the original Star Wars. No one else is left. Han's dead. Leia's dead. Luke's dead. The Emperor's dead again. You know, but we needed more of Anakin. I know I keep saying it, but Anakin's the chosen one. It's set up in 6 films. I mean, yes, it was nice hearing Hayden Christensen say, you know, Rey do what I did. Should have been there. What we should have done was, instead of having Palpatine, maybe, do you know, I will say I did like the fact that Palpatine brought them both to him, and he was using their energy, their aura, to heal himself and rejuvenate himself. I actually like that. I think that works in the context of the scene, and on paper it works. Defend me in the comments. Defend me. And I'll tell you what, Palpatine made some faces there. He was just like, yeah. But this movie is a mixed bag. This isn't a rant. This is just me giving my honest opinions. And I know there are so many people who do not like this movie. I get it. I understand. I get it. But one thing I always ask myself with films like this is the same question I asked when I watched Spider-Man 3. You know, that one. Did it entertain me? Or did I enjoy myself? If my answer is yes, even a little bit, then the movie did its job. So, as a moviegoer, the movie did its job. As a Star Wars fan, jury's still out on that one, folks. Jury's still out on that one. But again, there was a kid in the cinema today, and I think you all can agree with me. This is what it's about. No matter what side of the fence you're on here, no matter what your view is of these movies, because to me, Disney, you've been letting out 50-50 content ever since you took over. Rogue One, first half was kind of iffy. Second act was some of the best Star Wars I've ever seen. The Mandalorian is the best thing right now. I swear, The Mandalorian is the best thing. Mandalorian and Yoda are the best thing right now. Better than the main movies, dare I say it. Reylo, I don't really ship them as a couple, but, I ship them as like a duo. It makes sense, light and dark. I like that. Finn and Poe, we just didn't get enough of them, like, together. 3PO in this film. 3PO was a shining moment. I'm so... Do you know what? That's the best thing, that 3PO actually got a lot more to do in this film than any other film. In any other Star Wars film, he's just kind of standing in the background going, oh my. But in this one, you know, when they said, oh, we need to crack his head open, he's like, pardon me. So I'm happy that they didn't kill him off either. Because what I thought they were going to do was, at the end of Revenge of the Sith, and this might, when they wiped his memory, I think that might be a callback to Revenge of the Sith when Bail Organa, who, if you didn't know, if you missed it, actually cameoed in Rogue One and then said he was going back to Alderaan. So, yeah. No! So he died on Alderaan. Damn it, you know. I was rewatching it the other day and I was just thinking to myself, huh, finally sunk in. He went back to Alderaan and died when Tarkin blew the place up. Damn it. Jimmy Smits, though. Shout out Jimmy Smits. What was I saying? My brain just went completely dead. Crap. It's going to be awkward for you guys watching because you know what I'm just on about and my mind's just completely gone on a fritz. What was I saying? Do you know what? Let me move to the end, right? The ending kind of copied Return of the Jedi. Just a little bit there. You know how Return of the Jedi had the shots of Endor with the Ewoks celebrating? And Bespin, I think. And Tatooine. And then in the special edition, you had Naboo and you had Coruscant. Where were they? I needed them. You gotta put them in there, man. You got to show me the Jedi Temple just lingering off in the background. You know, you got to throw Camino in there. No, don't throw Camino. That makes no sense. You know, Naboo. Where's my Jar Jar cameo? You know, Darth Jar Jar. Where is he? Where's he at? Oh, and shout out to Ahmed Best again. You know, major respect for this guy. I love this guy, and I'm happy that he got to go to the premiere of this. I think he got to go to the premiere. And good luck to him with the Star Wars game show that they're doing. Full credit to you, and I'm a fan of Jar Jar, and you made me laugh as a kid, so you did your job. Shout out to you. Top man. Where was I? I'm trying to think of where I was. Like, no one gave a bad performance in this movie. No one gave a bad performance at all. And I've just remembered it. Back to the point. But yeah, 3PO, right? So he gets his mind wiped at the end of Revenge of the Sith. You know, have the protocol droid's mind wiped. What? Oh, no. I thought they were going to restore that memory. And then maybe, as a homage to the 9 movies, play memories of those movies. So like with him seeing Anakin and Padme, then you play Across the Stars, because they did say every musical theme was going to be in this movie. And I thought when he said taking one last look at my friends, I don't buy that they're his friends. They've known him for maybe a year and a half. That's it. When he said my friends, I thought he was replaying memories of when he first of when he saw Anakin and Padme getting married, of when he saw Luke on the homestead, when he met Han Solo in the Falcon, when Leia put her hand over his mouth telling him to shut up. And the poor guy suffered the brunt of everyone, you know. He keeps getting told to shut up. In this movie, he gets a lot more to do. And the one thing I wanted was when Rey was giving him Chewie's gun, I wanted him to use it. I mean, he said this is the first time I've been in like a gun battle or something. And I was just thinking, it's not though, is it? If your memory was restored back on Geonosis, you were trying to shoot some Jedi saying, "Die, Jedi dogs." So that could have been a nice moment, but you know, I think it was a homage to that. There's a lot of Easter eggs within this film that relate to other movies. So you're not, how do I say it? You're not, what's the phrasing? You're not going to miss something. Like, every time you watch it, you'll find something new. You'll find a soundtrack. And even, you know, like, for some soundtracks of different scenes, like, if the scene's like 5 minutes, the soundtrack may last the full 5 minutes. In this movie, a scene may have 7 different soundtracks playing in it. It'll have different parts. So it'll have the Duel of the Fates going, ah, 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 and then it'll go to Battle of the Heroes going, you know, dun, 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 dun. You know, it will play the different notes. Where the fuck were those songs? I didn't hear them. I need to try and scavenge the soundtrack and see if I can find them. There was a lot of bickering between the crew. I think that was to create a sense that they'd been running together for a while and they've been friends. I think maybe Finn does have a thing for Rey. Whether that's relationship material or anything, who knows? But him saying "I love you" could just be a way of him expressing, you know, I love you, like, you know, you're one of my best friends, you know, you changed my life, that kind of thing. But I genuinely think Finn is still Force sensitive. Like, that was a missed opportunity of these sequels. Why was more not done with Finn? You can tell that may have been the plan, him being Force sensitive. Why stick him in all of the Force Awakens trailers with a lightsaber and not give him anything? Yeah, I understand you wanted to keep Rey a secret for the film, but still, I mean, come on, it's John Boyega. I mean, you know, you're wasting him. On that, Poe Dameron, Oscar Isaac, he had a lot more to do in this movie. He wasn't just a trigger-happy pilot, and he wasn't just in there to have some badass resistance scenes. He actually had a story arc, and that I liked. Oscar Isaac's a great actor, and he really was a scene stealer in this. You know, where the scene where everyone's like hugging and, you know, having a happy ending, and he looks at Zori and he's like, it reminds me of like Han. That's the kind of thing that Han would do, you know. The lightsaber fights, well choreographed, not over the top, not underdeveloped, not raw, just right. I didn't really feel emotional in them. I just kind of looked at it as spectacle. But yeah, man, there's just so much in this movie that it's hard to unbox all at once. I mean, this review's gone on for like 40 minutes now. There's just so much to unbox and unpack that I'm interested to hear what you guys have to say in the comment section down below. Because this is just the start of this discussion, and I want to hear what you lot have to say. And furthermore, I also... Oh, sugar. I also want to do a video, perhaps, talking a little bit more about it with you guys directly. So anyone who watches this, anyone who sees this, feel free to subscribe to the channel and keep your notifications on, so when I do a live stream, you can come and discuss with me about it, and I can talk to you, and we can have a bit of a discussion. Because there are people that are harping on this movie way too much. This movie wasn't a major letdown, but there's just certain things that I personally wouldn't have done. For one, killing Kylo Ren. 2, the way Palpatine went out. 3, any reason as to why Han just appears out of nowhere. 4, what was it? 4, the inconsistent, like, just jumping from place to place. Not like the lightspeed jumping. That was cool. I like that. But the you know, first you're here, then you're there. 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 It's like, calm down. You know what it reminds me of? At the end of The Phantom Menace, right? The documentaries on YouTube. George Lucas says, I may have gone too far in a few places. And Ben Burt says to him, you know, it's a lot of short scenes, and it's a lot. That's the same thing that happened here. It's a lot to take in. Everything wrong with The Phantom Menace is here. It's so too much, you know? It's too much in a short space of time. But look at it this way, and I'm going to end it on an olive branch. And I just want to say, you know, it's useless to resist. I want to end it on a olive branch, okay? There was a kid in the cinema today, and this kid was watching it. They loved it. And to me, at the end of the day, regardless of how I feel, that's the most important thing. Because if you think about it, the people who hated who grew up with the originals, they got the prequels and they hated them, and now they're quite somber to them. Why? Because the people of the prequels, like myself, hold on a second, people. Hold on a second. I used to watch these 2 movies, right? Until Revenge of the Sith came out, I used to watch these 2 movies religiously. Like, I would spend so long just rewatching the movies, you know, the movies, the behind the scenes. You know, these were my jam, you know? If you've got these, you know. Oh, no. A disc. If you've got these, you know. But, you know, I grew up with them, and I loved them. And to hear that people didn't, and people gave them shit, I was thinking, oh, does that mean I was wrong? But now I'm kind of, you know, now I've gotten older. It's to the point where it's like, I accept that other people have opinions, and if I like them, I like them. Same case in point. I want to say this to anyone who likes this film. If you like this film, don't be afraid to say it. I know people are hitting the hype machine about, you know, outrage for clicks. Oh, this is the worst movie ever. Bear in mind, there are people who wanted this movie to fail. If you wanted this movie to fail, you dare call yourself a Star Wars fan. You do not want Star Wars to fail. If you're a fan. Yes, Disney are in charge. Lucas has got a lesser role. I get it. I understand. But as a Star Wars fan, you should be encouraging more. Maybe just being constructive and saying, hey, you didn't do good here, you did here. And if anything, it's fan reaction that's fucked up this trilogy even more so. Because The Force Awakens, it's A New Hope Mark II. The Last Jedi, it's too different. So J.J. Abrams just did everything. This is the same thing that happened to George Lucas. But again, on that, the kids who grew up with the sequels today, when they grow up in 10 years and they have a voice, they will be defending these movies. Why? Because they grew up with them. And at the end of the day, guys, Star Wars is a generational story, right? And a lot of people get Star Wars wrong. It's not some MCU story where you get 28 movies set over a couple of years, right? It's not like that. It's not a strong, coherent timeline because a lot of stuff is filled in through the cartoons, old Legends books that now are non-canon that Disney keeps stealing from. And, you know, i.e. there was another Death Star kind of thing in this where they blow up another planet. I was like thinking, oh, for Christ's sake, another Death Star situation. At the end of the day, it's about the next generation, isn't it? You know, I mean, before the movie played, when I was in the cinema, they opened it up with this 40 years kind of thing. And to see all the highlights, there was a guy and a man and a woman who got married, dressing as Anakin and Padme. There was a guy dressed as Han and there was a couple dressed as Han and Leia. There was a group of people dressed as stormtroopers. You know, there was a group of kids dressed up as Rey, a group of kids dressed up as Anakin. Represent. There was a good bunch of people that dressed up as every character, really. And that was what really struck a chord with me, because even though at the time of the release of the prequels, people absolutely loathed the prequels, they've become more mainstream now and people love them. A lot of people say it's just for the memes. I disagree. It's not just for the memes. It's because you realise there was actually good shit there. The execution was a bit iffy, but there was good shit there. You believed it. You believed it. But in this case, for me, I will be 50-50 on these Disney films, just because when you get older, you get more critical of everything. I can't wait for Clone Wars to come back. Rogue One, I liked the last half of the movie, so the second act, and everything on Scarif was absolute, just brilliant. And then Vader slaughtering everyone at the end of it. Oh God. Solo was good. Not really gonna go out of my way to watch it again, but I liked it. The Clone Rebels overall was good. There was a lot of awkward shit in there, and they watered Thrawn down. Like, that's the thing. If you just followed the EU formula properly, and you had Thrawn as the main villain in this trilogy, like, instead of Hux, or maybe have Thrawn and Hux, and have Hux do something stupid, and then Thrawn go, oh, you've absolutely screwed up my plan. Like, Thrawn would have been so good in this trilogy. He would have made you feel a sense of threat. And he's a different kind of officer than any other. Because if you know the Emperor, he only likes humans in his army because he doesn't trust aliens. The only reason he let Thrawn in his army is because he respects him. And Thrawn's a Chiss warrior. And those are tough bastards. So it would have been interesting to see Thrawn in this trilogy. But we didn't get that. We got Hux. Why not have both? Oh well, is what it is. What else is there? The Kenobi TV series is coming soon. Hang on, before that, the Cassian Andor series and K2SO series. I'm not overly hyped, but I'll watch it. I like those. I like Diego Luna and I like Alan Tudyk, so that should be fun. And you know, when he's like, "No back talk," smacks him. It's funny. And you can see Diego Luna just like this, trying not to laugh in the scene. And the Kenobi TV series, I tell you what, that series is going to be absolutely fire. Right, because the director, Deborah Chow, she has directed 2 of my favourite episodes of The Mandalorian so far, which is the best TV show right now. The Mandalorian puts everything out there to shame. And yes, The Mandalorian reuses a lot of cinema tropes, so like Western, cowboy, gunslingy, backstabbing, betrayal, but it's all in the execution. Even if you've seen that trope done before, if it's done in a way that where it's like, oh, cool, that's sick, you can buy it. You know, you can buy it and it makes sense. And Baby Yoda is just the most cutest thing I've ever seen on the planet. Protect him at all costs. And, you know, we got the Porgs again. There's a nice little cameo in this movie, Rise of Skywalker. You know, seeing them go, I was thinking, them things, them bundles of joy. Oh, dear. And then we've got... Yeah, that might be it so far. But, you know, in essence, I give the movie a 7 out of 10. I don't want to rate it too highly. Like, if anything, I'd rate The Force Awakens maybe a 7.5. I rate The Phantom Menace about... In terms of how much I enjoy them, I rate The Phantom Menace about the same. In terms of film, The Phantom Menace is probably not as good as The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi from a filmmaking standpoint, if you get what I mean. But I enjoyed it more, so my rating will be higher. So Rise of Skywalker, I'll give it a 7. 7.5. 7.5 out of 10. Lots of great ideas, lots of great exposition, but there was too much exposition. You know, like, just slow it down. Slow it down. Let us take it in. Take a moment so we can come in on it, and then move to the next thing. Not say, oh yeah, she's a Palpatine. Bang. You know, Finn has a long lost friend in the First Order, or that was ex-First Order. It's like, oh, slow your roll. Calm down. But Disney, Lucasfilm, if I have anything to say, this trilogy should teach you a lesson. Get your act together. Obviously, you're not going to remake these films. I don't want you to do that. They're set in stone now. Leave them alone. You know, they mean a lot of things to other people who enjoy them. It's just the negative ones are going to be the ones you hear the most noise of, and that's fine. They're not toxic. So I don't want to hear this bollocks phrasing going around social media. Oh, if you dislike this film, you're toxic. No, it's called passionate. It's called passionate and being a passionate fan. As Henry Cavill said. But yeah, I don't know. I'll do a live stream tomorrow talking more about it. That's just some of my initial thoughts, because if I'd have done it when I come out of the cinema, I would just be shouting crap at the screen. But I'm interested to hear your thoughts, guys. Comment down below. Let me know what you thought of this movie. I know a lot of people think the movie's trash. I know a lot of people like the movie. And I know a lot of critics are quite unanimous on it. But at the end of the day, people, you got to remember one thing with these critics. There is no other Skywalker film, so they probably won't mind being a bit more honest. Just saying. Food for thought. But at the end of the day, people, I will catch you in another video soon. And I might have some videos coming along. Maybe in a week's time, just because I want to let people have a chance to see the film before I start uploading spoiler videos. Might give it a week, maybe 2. I'll see how other channels are going with it. And when other channels upload spoilers, I'll see what the reaction is and if people are happy with it. I'm going to get to work on some of them, have them maybe pre-recorded, and then just upload them when the time comes. I'll be talking about, you know, Snoke and Palpatine and the handling of that. The character arcs, where they go from here, and Disney need to stop like calling these weapons laser swords. Lightsaber. And I will say, it's just interesting, because now when you watch The Last Jedi and Luke, you know, throws it over his shoulder, you're not going to look at that scene the same now, because it's tainted again. The scene has been changed twice. So you've got Rey giving the lightsaber to Luke like this. Then obviously they reshot it and edited it so it looks like this, and then, you know, he takes it, and it's an emotional moment. And then all of a sudden, 3, 2, 1. And then in this one, it's like, oh, that's no way to treat a lightsaber or whatever. And it reminds me of Attack of the Clones with Anakin and Obi-Wan. When Anakin loses his lightsaber when they're trying to get Zam, the bounty hunter from the start, in the chase through Coruscant, which was just fucking brilliant. And then Obi-Wan says, next time try not to lose it. This weapon is your life. I try, master. Like, it felt like an homage to that. Like, you know, don't throw this around. Respect it. On when you use it, off whenever you're done. And I will say, it was probably nice for Mark Hamill to get a bit more closure with Carrie. Probably also good for Harrison Ford, just to get one more bit of closure, and for him to come back and take a reunion picture with Lando. A reunion picture with Mark. You know, that was nice. I mean, it would have been nice to see old Han and old Lando, you know, arguing at it again. But I will say this. The film has its good moments. You know, like anything, it has its good moments. And people, if you've learned anything from my 50-minute diatribe here, just remember, not every movie that comes out, you know, we're all going to like. You know, it's just the way it is. And at the end of the day, I'm trying to think of the right way to say this, because I don't want people getting upset at me in the comments, but people are going to get upset no matter what I say. I want to say this. People still hate the prequels, right? People still can't get over the fact that midi-chlorians exist. They exist, deal with it. So, if you think you're ever gonna maybe fully let go of what the sequels have done, you ain't. Because the original trilogy fanboys who can't let the prequel hate go, whenever you mention midichlorians, they go, oh, even though I don't see the problem with it. It's just a way of saying, yes, Anakin is that powerful, and then some. Maybe it's just me. But that's neither here nor there. And I will say this, but Kylo and Rey were off the chain. You see the amount of power moves they were pulling. Like this, the amount of powers that were on display here, that was Force Unleashed level, if not more. When Rey lights the ship down, I was thinking, get the fuck out of here, no way. And then Kylo Ren goes and does something equally, and I'm like, holy hell, how powerful are these two? Like, judging on this film, if it was just lightsabers, if they went toe to toe with Anakin, Mace Windu, Yoda, Obi-Wan, Darth Maul even, Count Dooku, Grievous, they would lose in seconds. But in terms of them fighting each other or fighting together, they're a threat. If you put them two against any like single person, let's say if you put them two against probably Ayla Sakura, then that would probably be a win. Sorry, Ayla, it was the first person that came to mind. But yeah, you know, overall 7.5 out of 10. I'm still very mixed on it. I'm not going to fake being angry at it, you know, like a lot of people will want me to. There's things I don't like about the movie and things I do, but at the end of all of it, guys, remember, this trilogy's been screwed up from the start. You know, it copied A New Hope in every single way possible, but at least it still left a story that it could have gone in. And then Ryan came along, told his story, and then they went back to that story, and do you know what? You straight up should have just put the Emperor in it from the beginning, because now he feels tacked on. Like, that's the problem when watching this movie. He feels forced. No pun intended. He feels forced. But I was happy that Ian McDiarmid got to play the role one more time, because the guy's getting on now. You know, he's an elderly guy, and he can't do the lightsaber stuff that he did in Revenge of the Sith. And even in that, he struggled, because he was still fairly old then. So him just walking around going, heh, heh, heh. And the Rey he rejuvenated, that was sick. I'm sorry, you may not like it. I like that. I like that you've got the Skywalker bloodline, you've got his own bloodline, and he's leaking force out of them into himself to heal himself. I like that. I thought that was cool. I thought that was pretty neat. And a lot of people are going to be upset at this movie because they've seen other people get pissed off. They saw one person on YouTube get angry, so now they're going to go and do the same thing. I'd much rather listen to people who are open for conversation. Now, obviously, I want to shout out Jeremy Johns, one of the best critics on YouTube, for sure. Chris Stuckman, I like Chris Stuckman. The Cyber Nerds have just put up a review. Go and check that out. Fellow local London boys. And, you know, they're Star Wars fans too, so shout out to them. Star Wars Theory, I can't wait for his review. Who else? There's a whole load of other people. You guys know who they are. I don't want to sit here and list them out. But anyway, I'm going to let you guys get going. This is nearly an hour. In the meanwhile, the Force will be with you always. And we move on to a new story now. A new saga. I think Rey, Finn and Poe, you're probably never going to see them together again. A bit like the original 6 for this. I think they are now going to go their own way, all of them individually. I think if they are ever brought back, it's very unlikely you're going to see the 3 of them together. Very unlikely. I think the 3 of them are going to go their own way. And if you do see the characters again, it will be in a feature down the line or something like that. I'm pretty sure Kevin Feige's got a film he's working on. Rian Johnson's still got his trilogy apparently. But, well, oh dear, you know. Just don't let JJ direct the 3rd one, Ryan, because then you'll get a taste of your own medicine. And to be fair, look, I don't want to sound like I'm that guy, but Ryan, you did get a taste of your own medicine. That's what we felt like when you bloody shoehorned everything from us. So, I'm just saying, you get what goes around comes around, you know? Like, you got a dose of what you did to us. I'm just saying. But again, I'll have another video coming out at the end of... What are we today? Thursday. I'll have a video coming on maybe Sunday or Saturday of top 10 moments from the sequel trilogy. So that will be coming soon. Top 10 moments from the sequel trilogy. I'm going to try and see if I can get it on 10000, bang on the dot. Anyway, may the force be with you. See you in another video soon, and